Welcome back. Welcome back to the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television. We begin our conversations this morning and we're heading into Autism Day, which is in April. And we have with us this morning the chairman of Autism Tobago, Ria Paria, and the vice chairman, Mrs. Valeene Salino-Canaan. And we're going to be talking about autism this morning. There's some information that you need to know. And I feel as if the public should be, a little bit more informed about situations and persons who have autism and how we treat them and care for them. Mm-hmm. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Adanna.
Of course, a pleasure to have you ladies here with us this morning, looking so really, really nice. And so always so spoken and well, put together. But I want to get into, just last week we came out of celebrating Down Syndrome Day. Mm-hmm. And we know that there are lots of persons living differently than us.
Yes.
They have different situations going on. And I feel as if it is very important for us to have conversations so that the average person understands that we are all different. We have different needs, we have different challenges, and we need different types of support. And so now we're talking about autism. So could you give us a brief overview of what autism is and how it can affect someone who has it?
Yes. Good morning again. Autism is a neurological disorder. That means that it affects the brain. And because it affects the brain of the person, they have their challenges with senses and perceiving the world and so on around them and the environment. And persons will observe the challenges in the main areas of communication or speech. You may have speech delays. They may have challenges also in socializing, making friends, just understanding, that kind of social setting. And of course, they will have the challenges in terms of just perceiving the world through their senses. So they may have challenges with light and sound and textures of food and tags in your clothes.
Yes.
So their senses, because of how their brain sometimes is hypersensitive, the high pain, low pain threshold. So it's a lot of things that are happening in the person's body, in their mind, because of the different wiring of the brain.
Correct. And sometimes, I believe that there's more education coming forward or more awareness happening now. So people kind of, coming to terms with the fact that people live differently in the same space.
And persons with autism, because it's a spectrum, you don't see one type of autistic person because it's a spectrum. So you go from level 1 to level 3, and sometimes you have people who don't speak, those who are highly intelligent, who seem quite normal because it is an invisible disorder. You don't see anything physical as you would with Down syndrome. You wouldn't see any physical features per se because of that it's a brain disorder, right? So we accept the differences.
That's correct. And something I wanted to bring to light is how persons treat with people who have autism, especially because you have the heightened senses, like if it's too loud or too noisy or too quiet or too hot or too cold, they might react in a certain type of way because that's their coping mechanism. But some persons who do not understand, sometimes it becomes frustrating for them, especially when they don't realize, well, something is, not as normal as I am.
Yes.
And so they don't know how to treat with that person. How have you been able to manage situations where you are in that type of position, and you have to kind of explain to somebody, listen, we're different, and, this might not be affecting you, but it's affecting this person, so let's just give them some grace.
Tons of grace and compassion, because sometimes you take a child to the supermarket and, okay, something is too loud or something is, again, causing them to have a meltdown or something of the sort because something is hamburging their senses. I'm trying to use simple terms, and they are being affected by the light or the noise. And people will say, well, why is that person affected by that? Because they don't seem to be affected by the noise or the lights. And it's just for the persons to understand, okay, well, if you get an explanation from the parent or you observe first before you judge, observe first, because sometimes, it can be a reflection. Parents might think it's a reflection on me as a parent that my child is reacting this way in the concert or wherever they are. And you to have that fear of thinking people would not understand,
And I've seen that before as well, as you said, to kind of have patience and kind of understand what is happening, assess the situation. Because I have seen, especially younger children, not being able to cope or
Regulate.
understand yet. Yes, they haven't been able to regulate yet. And so they might have a tantrum, as you mentioned, in a supermarket. I have seen a child lying on the floor in a supermarket and screaming and hollering. And my initial thought was, what is wrong with that child? And then when I thought about it, what is wrong with you, Adanna? Take a minute and walk around the corner to the supermarket and see what's happening. And you could see that the mother was there, flushed, frustrated, however, taking a breath and she just left the child. And that's what the child needed at that point in time. In about 2 minutes, the hollering was done. He was okay and they kept it moving. So we just really, as you rightfully said, Ria, have to give some grace where that is concerned. And so now we're celebrating Autism Day on April 2nd.
Yes.
Right. And so, of course, I know that Autism Tobago will be doing something and having a series of events where people, I am sure, can get more information and interact with the data that is out there where it is concerned. So I want to talk a little bit about that so people can know how to contact you, how to get information and how to be a part of it and how to be a part of the society that gives support, not just to persons with autism, but persons who care for people with autism. So tell us a little bit about what's happening.
Okay, so this year, once again, we are coming out on the 2nd of April to launch the entire month. The 2nd of April is World Autism Awareness Day, but we will have a whole slate of activities for the entire month. So at 5 p.m. on the mall, we will be having our launch and opening of our information kiosk. And we will have a short program. And of course, we will, open the kiosk officially, invite persons to be a part of the celebration and all the other celebrations to follow for the remainder of the month. The Saturday immediately after, we'll be having our motorcade called Drive Blue from 1 p.m. This year, we extended the route a little bit. So we're starting from Store Bay and we're going all the way to Adventure Play Park in Plymouth, right? We will have an online seminar on the 12th of April. That's where we give persons that information about autism. So it's open to everybody, not just parents and persons with autism. Yes. We'll be having information, a presentation from tentatively Dr. Windsor. It's entitled Putting the Pieces Together. So it's really to give person that deeper insights and deeper perspective into what autism is, what it's like living with autism, things to look for, and those sorts of things. And we'll also be having a presentation from a self-advocate. Yes. So somebody who actually has autism explaining what it has been like growing up with autism and what the challenges they would have faced during their time. After that, we have our grand awareness fair in Buku on the 26th of April at Buku Integrated Facility from 1 p.m. It was amazing last year and we're hoping to make it even bigger and better this year. Come out with games for the kids, interact, get a better understanding of exactly what's going on. Give the children a real opportunity to be themselves in a space that we are trying to craft specifically for them. And we are taking our walk to the east on the 30th of April from 10 a.m. Lamy Road to Sid Gray Stadium, where we spread awareness in the countryside.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
I do hope that our viewers, of course, would, try to be a part of what is happening, especially the education part for me is very, very important. And sometimes when I talk about autism, because I have a young cousin who has autism, and a very close friend of mine, her son also is autistic. The most loving people you could find.
Yes.
Territorial,
yes,
but loving.
Yes.
And so very intelligent, and they're very, very straightforward with their likes and their I don't like.
Correct.
Yes. I like this, goodness. I don't like this.
Correct.
Don't do this, don't do that. The younger one, he is 7, and the older one is turning 9. So young boys. But when I tell you, and the fact that there are activities for them to get involved in, they play sports, they go to school, they integrate with the community, but when it's too much for them, they kind of retreat and like, yo, this is enough. I've had enough and I'm going back in my little corner. But they interact, they are, and they have their own personality. So for me, I really want people to start to get to understand, because when the first time I kind of came to what autism is, I was a little bit confused. I must admit, I was confused and I couldn't understand. And then I thought to myself, let me try to figure this out. And I started with my friend and I was like, I mean, it's a person, it's a human
I
being, it's a
think-
person just dealing with like experiencing life differently than I am.
Yes.
I think that's the difference between awareness and acceptance.
Acceptance.
You know, taking the extra effort and going the extra mile to really understand what somebody's life is like with autism, and for somebody who takes care of somebody with autism, that is the key to acceptance, and that is the key to being an advocate, being able to edify others, being able to create space in society for us and for,
But how
persons
has
with
it been in the Tobago space in terms of awareness, acceptance, and the level of support for the carers of people with autism? Because I know it is a high demand. You know, one day the child, well, let's talk about dealing with children. One day the child might, I want to wear this yellow t-shirt every day for the rest of my life. And then this day you decide, well, this yellow t-shirt is ready and I'm putting it on. And he's like, I don't want it. I hate yellow. Just move it away from me. How do you deal? And what is the type of support that you get with that?
Well, I believe support starts in and then move out. So support of the family, having your relatives. I've met persons, not only those who have family members with autism, with different disabilities, and they don't know what disability the child has. And you're the grandmother or you're the aunt, you know, and it's like, you're in the circle, you need to be aware and you need to accept and understand that this is what you have to do. So the support must start in the smaller circle first, having the support of family members, having them understand that as parents, sometimes we need a 10-minute break, a little breather. You know, I mean, my son is 17 now, so I remember wishing for days just want to have an hour.
Right.
So I can slow down myself, you know. So having that smaller support system is very important. Your spouses. I mean, yes, there are challenges. And in one of our previous sessions where we brought the parents together to discuss how these special family members affect relationships, affect marriages, affect the siblings. You know, my older son would say, well, Mommy, how come Aiden is not talking to me? When they were smaller, he didn't understand why his brother didn't talk.
Right.
And then he would be talking in school non-stop, and his teacher would write, Michael talks too much in the support. You understand? So that small support is important. And then, of course, you have the support of your community, whether it's your church, your sports groups. I am so thankful for my church community and their support, you know, to have other persons just buy in and lend a hand, you know, while you have to, again, catch yourself.
Yes.
And then, of course, the support of the wider society. You go to the grocery, you go to the airport, you go on the boat.
Yeah.
Just having that support. And people need to edify themselves, even if you're not edifying yourself, because if you're not in something or you're not affected by something, you might not even want to go and read up or research about it. So take every opportunity that you encounter somebody in public as a learning opportunity. As you said, take a step back and learn from it. Because I was telling Valeene, I say, I'm passionate about disabilities and spreading awareness about any disability. And I was assisting my friend last week with Down syndrome awareness. And there are still persons out there who confuse Down syndrome and autism, or they think it's the same thing. You know, they think it's the same thing. Well, you're rocking our socks for autism. I said, we don't rock socks for autism, we rock socks for Down syndrome. So there's still some clarity to be done to clarify that differentiating between Down syndrome and autism, because persons with Down syndrome can have autism. You can have combo disabilities. So I don't know, maybe that is why the people confuse it, but we still have work to do. We are passionate about sharing information, moving from awareness to acceptance, and we will continue to share the awareness, because I was really blown away by the fact that people thought it was the same thing, you know. So we really are working and trying our best to get our information out there.
Right. So I do hope that the viewers will come out from the 2nd of April. This is at which mall? This is the Lowlands Mall. From what time do you launch?
At
5 p.m.
5 p.m. on the 2nd of April at the Lowlands Mall. Autism Tobago will be there, and they'll be giving all the information you need to have about autism. A series of events taking place there. You can get all the information, the contact details, ask the questions you want to ask. The people who know about autism, they're going to be there. And trust me, there's always something new to learn. I'm sure by tomorrow they might learn something new. and you want to be a part of that as well, lend the support, be in the know, awareness, acceptance, support.
Yes.
We all have to coexist, and so we all have to be good to each other. All right, so that's from the 2nd of April at the Lowlands Mall from 5 p.m. and you will get all the details there. They'll be there at the mall, I think, for the entire month.
For the entire
the
month,
kiosk
yes.
will be there, so you could come, you could go through
Get your
anytime and
pamphlets
just
and so on.
get the information and speak to whomever is there to find out more. Thank you so much, ladies, for coming
Thank you
this
for
morning
having
and bringing
us.
that information to us. But we have to go for a short break before we continue conversations in studio, because Mr. Cricket, Marcus Daniel, is in studio and he's going to be talking all things sports as we head on into the long weekend. So in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, this is my encouragement for you to help us. Share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.